हेलो गाइस, मैं हूं तन्मय भट्ट और आपका स्वागत है मेरी यूट्यूब चैनल तन्मय भट्ट में। दोस्तों हमने सी लैंग्वेज के पार्ट 9 में देखा था कि ऑपरेटर्स के बारे में हमने देखा था। तो दोस्तों हम इस वीडियो में हम देखने वाले हैं डिसीजन मेकिंग के बारे में। दोस्तों तो हम उसके बारे में डिसीजन मेकिंग के बारे में हम देखते हैं। Decision making structure requires that the programmer specifies one or more conditions to be evaluated or tested by the program, along with a statement or statements to be executed if the condition is determined to be true, and optionally other statements to be executed if the condition is determined to be false. So below is the general form of a typical decision-making structure found in most of the programming language. C programming language assumes any non-zero and non-null value as true, and if it is either zero or null, then it is assumed as false value. C programming language provides the following types of decision making statements. If statement. An if statement consists of a Boolean expression followed by one or more statements. If else statement. An if statement can be followed by an optional else statement which executes when the Boolean expression is false. Nested if statement. You can use one in if or else if statement inside another if or else if statements. Switch statement. A switch statement allows a variable to be tested for equality against a list of value. Nested switch statement. You can use one switch statement inside another switch statements. अब दोस्तों हम बात करते हैं इफ स्टेटमेंट के बारे में। An if statement consists of a Boolean expression followed by one or more statement. If the Boolean expression evaluates to true, then the block of code inside the if statement will be executed. If the Boolean expression evaluates to false, then the first set of code after the end of the if statement will be executed. C programming language assumes any non-zero and non-null values as true, and if it is either zero or null, then it is assumed as false value. अब दोस्तों हम बात करते हैं if else statement के बारे में। An if statement can be followed by an optional else statement which executes when the Boolean expression is false. If the Boolean expression evaluates to true, then the if block will be executed, otherwise the else block will be executed. C programming language assumes any non-zero and non-null values as true, and if it is either zero or null, then it is assumed as false values. दोस्तों अब हम बात करते हैं if else statement के बारे में। An if statement can be followed by an optional else if else statement which is very useful to test various conditions using single if else if statement. When using if else if statements, there are few points to keep in mind. An if can have non-zero or one else, and it must come after any else ifs. An if can have zero to many else ifs and and they must come before the else. Once an else if succeeds, none of the remaining else or else will be tested. अब दोस्तों हम बात करते हैं नेस्टेड इफ स्टेटमेंट के बारे में। It is always legally in C programming to nest if else statements, which means you can use one if or else if statement inside another if or else if statements. You can nest else if else in the similar way as you have nested if statement. अब दोस्तों हम बात करते हैं स्विच स्टेटमेंट के बारे में। A switch statement allows a variable to be tested for equality against a list of values. Each value is called a case and the variable being switched on is checked for each switch case. The following are values applied to a switch statement. The expression used in a switch statement must have an integral or enumerated type or be of a class type in which the class has a single conversion function to an integral or enumerated type. You can have any number of case statements within a switch. Each case is followed by the values to be compared to and a colon. The constant expression for a case must be the same data type as the variable in the switch, and it must be a constant or a literals. When the variable being switched on is equal to a case, the statements following that case will execute until a break statement is reached. When a break statement is reached, the switch terminates and the follow of control jumps to the next line following the switch statement. Not every case needs to contain a break. If no break appears, the follow of control will fall through to subsequent cases until a break is reached. A switch statement can have an optional default case which must appear at the end of the switch. The default case can be used for performing a task when none of the cases is true. No break is needed in the default case. दोस्तों अब हम बात करते हैं नेस्टेड स्विच स्टेटमेंट के बारे में. It is possible to have a switch as a part of the statement sequence of an outer switch even if the case constants of the inner and outer switch contain common values, no conflicts will arise. दोस्तों हम बात करते हैं हम the operators के बारे में. We have covered conditional operator in the previous chapter, which can be used to replace if else statement. It has the following general form, where expression 1, expression 2 and expression 3 are expressions. Notice the use and placement of the colon. The value of a expression is determined like this. Expression 1 is evaluated if it is true. Then expression 2 is evaluated and becomes the values of the entire expression. If expression 1 is false, then expression 3 is evaluated and its value becomes the value of the expression. तो दोस्तों हमने आज बात की डिसीजन मेकिंग के बारे में. दोस्तों हम फिर मिलेंगे नेक्स्ट वीडियो में न्यू टॉपिक के साथ. तब तक के लिए गुड बाय.